I am a child survivor from Poland. Poland was home to the largest Jewish population in Europe. By inviting a Holocaust survivor, you remember the murdered Jews of Europe. You keep the memory alive.
Miriam's story to me is very touching. Being Jewish, I have family who were lost in the Holocaust, and we have no records whatsoever, in many cases not even the name, and it's very touching to see Miriam's story and how she brought her memories together.
It's inspiring, it's heartwarming, it's moving. I think it's brilliant that she was able to write this story out and go through all of that again, relive it. So Miriam, your book is all about, rediscovering your memory and then sharing those memories in your story. And I was wondering, what specifically motivated you to rediscover your Jewish heritage?
I don't even think that we can speak about rediscovery, because I was 8, over 8. I was born June 2nd. I left home in 41 in November. So it's 8 and 3 months. I knew who I was. I was hiding, actively hiding. So when I returned to who I was, it was a very slow, fearful process. I was really afraid.
So in Trains, you wrote a lot about the nature of perspective and how you remember differently now that you're older. As you were writing Trains, how did your perspective on your story change?
The story is the same, but I allowed myself, as I went along with the book, I allowed myself to admit to feelings, to admit to hurt. I think it helped me become a truer person. When I decided to tell my story, and that was after the first gathering of child survivors, and I stood up without waiting for my turn, just ran to the middle of the room and started talking as words poured out of me. And I think some recollection of things that were there, but I did not recall them really, did not acknowledge them. Like my grandfather praying, he was a Hasidic Jew, and I was speaking about that. And when I sat down, also by the reaction of people, the survivors, it was a gathering of the survivors, I realized that I need to write. So when I started writing, I looked at a photograph of Miriam Winter at her first communion. That's the only thing I had, nothing physical except for that photograph. And it really went like a spiral, deeper and deeper, when I allowed myself to not rush, but also to stop in the middle of the sentence or pick up from nowhere and just start writing.
Well, there's a part of your book where you say, "I am their witness." and the theme of witnessing comes up a lot in your book. What is your goal as a witness?
To tell what I know what happened. My field is theater, but my hobby through all my life was history. And I do know history, but I do not, when I speak about the Holocaust, I speak only about the things that I know. And that's important for me because I want to tell what had happened from that perspective, from what, as a child, during the Holocaust, in Poland, what I witnessed, not what I heard, what I witnessed or what had happened.
So what do you hope that students especially will learn as they read your story?
The story must be told, and the memory of what happened must be kept alive. That is now a very strong motivation for many other Jewish child survivors, not only for me. It definitely is for me. And I think it was so from the very beginning. To tell what happened.